Hello and welcome. Today we'll be talking about DIY guitar kits. Are they worth building? Today we'll be taking a look at the Solo Guitars STK-1. ST for Strat and K for kit, I'd imagine. I don't have too much of a background in building guitars at all. I've been playing them for many years and setting them up. The perfect thing is a do-it-yourself kit. All you need to do is the finishing work, which I absolutely hate. But putting it together and then setting it up, that sounds pretty easy to me. I chose a Strat because I've never owned a Strat. In all the years that I've played guitar, I just never have owned one. I've played a few of them, and of course, like the tonal capabilities of the instrument are well known. But I've just never cared for the look of a Strat. I don't know what it is, the body shape, it just never really appealed to me. The modular design of the Strat is what makes this project easiest, I assume. You can basically just grab parts from any other Strat, and they're almost entirely interchangeable. So if something goes wrong or I mess something up, I'm not too concerned with finding another part and just swapping it on. Or if I want to upgrade it in the future, it seems pretty easy to me to just buy the parts and put them right back on and ready to go. I also wanted to choose something that wasn't going to make a lot of mess. Something that wasn't going to be too loud to work with either. The only time I'd be able to work with the guitar was at nighttime after I put the kids to bed. So I really wanted something that wasn't going to wake them up. I'd be able to get the work done without them coming down and getting in the middle of it. Throughout the course of the assembly and all the work that I did, I was able to actually keep all of the mess that I needed to work with limited to the inside of the box that it shipped in. So I either was doing something very wrong or very right. Let's get to the unboxing. Look what arrived in the mail today. No damage on the box. Actually feels like it weighs fully packaged less than my Yamaha Revstar, which weighs about as much as a small house. So let's see what's in here. It comes with a pick. Have to have a pick. What would you do without a pick? Hey Columbo, wanna check it out? first step you're going to want to do is the sanding. One piece of advice I would give to you is whatever amount of sanding you're planning on doing is not enough. Whatever finish they put on this guitar from the factory, for shipping purposes I assume, penetrates deep into the wood. And if you don't get that whole layer of sealant or whatever it is off, then whatever finish you want to put on the guitar, whether it's like a lacquer or a stain or paint, is not gonna stick. And I learned this the hard way. So sand, and then sand some more. I decided to finish the guitar using a dye. I wanted something that would show the natural wood grain while still adding a little bit of color. I'm not a big fan of painted guitars because to me, if it's wood, I want to see the wood. Also, painting wasn't really an option for me because from my understanding of painting, it needs to be done in a warm area, and I'm currently in Canada in November. Also, I'd only be able to work at night, so I don't think the neighbors would have appreciated that too much. The first step is to create a handle so you can hold the guitar while painting it without touching any of the wet surfaces. I decided on this folk art dye, which was available on Amazon. And this isn't a plug for Amazon. I just don't really have many options in leaving the house lately, and they're really good at getting me stuff. The color is teal, and I was really hoping for a green. Teal is kind of close to green, so we'll see how it turns out. Also, painting wasn't an option for me because it requires a certain level of patience that I don't think I possess. Just my luck though. The color ended up turning out more green than teal anyway, possibly because I didn't sand it well enough. In fact, there are a few times where I had to go back and sand again because the dye just wouldn't penetrate the wood. Oh, I hate this. After I was somewhat satisfied with the dyeing process, it was time to put on a gloss polyurethane finish. But first, I had the kids contribute a little bit to the project. I chose this Minwax polyurethane finish because it was a gloss finish, looked like it was easy to apply, you could just brush on, and it was available at my local Canadian Tire store. After 2 coats of polyurethane, I decided to buff the surface using an automotive scratch remover and then an automotive wax. Now that the annoying parts were finished, it was time to start assembly of the guitar. First, I needed to shield all the cavities and the pickguard from electromagnetic interference. I used copper tape, but there are many tutorials online to show you how to use aluminum tape as well. Most aluminum tapes don't have a continuity layer when you connect the 2 pieces of tape together. So you might find yourself adding a bunch of extra steps if you're going to use aluminum. After assembling the pickguard and soldering everything in place, it was time to test for sound. Now, an easy way to do this is to just plug in the guitar, even without a neck or anything on it, and gently tap each pickup with a screwdriver. Don't scratch them, and you should be able to hear the sound coming through. In my case, there was no sound. After a lot of troubleshooting, I found out that I had magnetically shielded the jack, and as a result, every time I inserted a patch cord, the patch cord would touch the inside of the jack cavity, sending the signal to ground, so no sound was coming out. So I had to remove the magnetic shielding from the inside of the jack plate and drill a deeper hole to make room for the jack. After getting everything together and setting everything up for playability, it was clear to me which bits needed to be replaced or swapped out in order to transform this guitar from a fun project to a serious instrument. The pickups would be the first to go. As you'll hear in the next few minutes, it sounds playable, like it sounds like a single coil setup, but it's seriously lacking in tone. The nut is just a piece of plastic slotted for strings, really. This makes it very difficult to work with when trying to sand down the slots, as the action from stock was quite high. This will affect the overall playability and tone of the instrument. The tuning pegs are stiff, not smooth, but they seem good enough to keep the guitar in tune, so I might hold on to those for as long as possible. And finally, the bridge. It seems functional, but it's very rattly and buzzy when you're playing, so all the bits on the bridge are just kind of not really up to the task. Also, the whammy bar is very loose, and there's a lot of play on it, even when screwed all the way down. All that being said, it is a rather playable instrument, and with a good setup can play quite comfortably. Although I wouldn't touch that whammy bar unless you really want to tune your guitar immediately after. Here's a quick and sloppy audio sample. As you can hear, the sound is that of a very generic single coil pickup system. The final product works, but can it be better? Yes, it can. A lot better. What you're looking at is the very same guitar, but in many ways it's not the same guitar at all. So, what's changed? Let's start with the tuners. I upgraded the stock tuners to these Wilkinson Easy Lock tuners from Amazon. They're much smoother, and even though the Easy Lock system is a bit sloppy in my opinion, I don't know if you can see that. It just looks really sloppy to me, the way that those strings are put on. But that's how it's meant to be, and it actually works quite well. Next, I upgraded the bridge, Amazon again, to this Wilkinson tremolo bridge with a pop-in whammy bar. The original bridge suffered from being made with very soft metal, and I learned this because these two strings are now a permanent fixture on this bridge. I tried to get them out with like a screwdriver and a hammer. I upgraded the nut with this Graphtec Tusk nut, which I got directly from Solo Guitars. It was a drop-in replacement. I didn't need any modification whatsoever. No sanding, nothing. And finally, the pickups. I wasn't expecting to spend too much money on the pickups because the original pickups were just so bad that I didn't really need to spend a lot of money to get anything better than those. But I was very impressed with these Wilkinson Alnico vintage tone pickups. For the price, to me, they sound better than they need to. So let's give it a listen and see what the upgrades have done. So, the Solo Guitars STK-1 Strat Kit. Was it worth it? I'd say it was. What do you think? Thanks very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.